I'm sure some of you have already heard the terms pack mentality and herd mentality. And I'm sure some of you have already figured out what that meant. The pack mentality, of course, these are all references to the animal kingdom. Certain animals travel in herds, and certain animals travel in a pack. And mentality associated with a herd is basically you see a whole bunch of animals going in one direction. You know, you see the fella, they're following the fella in front of him, who's following the fella in front of her, who's following the fella in front of him, and so on and so forth. They don't question where they're going. They just see somebody in front of them headed a certain way, or a group of them headed a certain way, and they just go. No forethought. I mean, they could be headed for disaster, don't care. They see what everybody else is doing, and they go do it. That's the herd mentality. Not much rational thought, not much logic involved. And everybody's just kind of doing what they want to do willy-nilly. And then when it's time to move, everybody just starts moving. Don't even know why they're moving, they just moving. Sometimes it's good to have a herd mentality. And the reason why I say that is because it might be a situation on a level like, let's say it's a natural disaster. Hurricane, you got to evacuate. You don't have to worry about hierarchy and who's going to do what. If everybody's got to leave, everybody's got to leave. You have your evacuation route, and everybody gets on the evacuation route and they're gone. Everybody's following everybody else. So natural disaster, things like that, you have to have a herd mentality. You don't have time to try to figure out who's in charge of what. You got to go. Pack mentality is different. These are a lot of your animals like your wolves and, bears and things like that. Now the pack mentality, yes, they are a group. But the thing is, each individual animal in the group has a purpose. I mean, the person in the rear is bringing up the rear. And their job is to bring up the rear, but also to make sure that whatever the threat is that's following the pack, they keep an eye out. Because they're the last one in the pack. So they make sure that you got enough distance, make sure everybody's going at the right velocity. They're keeping their eyes open because they're the last one in the pack. They can look behind and see if there's anything else that's coming after you or how fast that threat is coming. So they have a purpose. And some of the people in the middle, they're bringing up the middle for strength, or it could be a weather situation. They could be using that as a barrier to protect the others. Especially if you're dealing with birds like penguins and things like that, they have to deal with adverse weather conditions. The one in the front and the one in the back, they're all by themselves, but the ones in the middle, they can get together and they can provide warmth for all the others. So working in the middle, the people in the middle, they have a purpose as well. And of course, the leader has their purpose. So that's the difference between the pack mentality and the herd mentality. Pack mentality is where, you've got a group of people, but everybody has a certain purpose. And it's not a situation where you got somebody in the middle trying to be somebody in the back, and the person in the back trying to be somebody in the middle, and somebody in the middle trying to take over the lead. No, they identify the fact that that leader is the leader because they are capable of doing it. They have yielded that power over to them. Everybody's in agreement with the fact that that person is the leader. The person bringing up the rear is not less important than the leader. The person that's bringing up the rear is the one that kind of keeps the velocity going and keeps the speed up. Make sure that everybody doesn't fall behind. Keeps an eye out for stragglers. Watches out for the enemy. If there's a perceived enemy that's following the one in the rear, make sure that there's enough distance between you to make sure that you're not caught. So the person in the rear has a role as well. But I'm going to tell you something that happens in families. You got a lot of people in families that have a herd mentality. But you have one or two of those that have a pack mentality. And they're trying to convince the herd to become a pack. And the people in the herd, everybody's just basically just doing their own thing. Now, crisis, when you come together, they either, they don't work together because everybody wants to be the boss, or nobody wants to be the boss, Or if you do have someone that's perceived to be the boss, it wasn't a total agreement of it. Or if it was a situation that needed to be handled, you assume that one person could handle it, and you go ahead and you let them handle it, but you got that other person that wants to try to tell them what to do and interfere with what's going on, and nothing gets done. People aren't left alone in their roles. They're not identified for their individual contributions. People want you to think the way everybody else thinks. When in actuality, you should have a pack mentality where everybody has an individual purpose and everybody is left alone to fulfill their purpose as much as possible to make the unit strong. But the problem is in a lot of families, they want people who want to be individual, they want them to be a part of the herd, and it doesn't work that way. And that's where communication breaks down. People have different personalities in this world. Everybody doesn't play follow the leader. Everybody doesn't play well with others. Doesn't make them bad people. They're just on a different wavelength. I'm sure that, all of us belong to a certain group of people, but it may not be the group of people you associate with. That doesn't make them bad. And just because you have a talent for something, just because you're related to somebody else, you just assume that person's just going to fall in line and yield to what you want. They may not want to. Maybe they have other ideas how to handle the situation. But no, you want them to play herd. You want them to sit there and just follow you, and don't do anything. You don't utilize anybody's talents. Those are piss poor leaders. They're not leaders. They're piss poor. They're awful leaders. Because good leaders allow each individual person in the group to contribute as much as they possibly can to the best of their ability. They're confident and they also trust their leaders. They trust them. They have faith in them. And they believe whatever task that you have to accomplish is going to get accomplished. Good leaders know how to delegate. You got yourself somebody in a business that's trying to do everything by themselves all the time, even though the company's growing and everything else, and they're trying to do everything else. And then people offer to help and they won't take the help. They're not good leaders. They're not. Look at any big corporation. It's levels. I mean, really. The CEO doesn't have time to deal with logistics. Doesn't have time to deal with accounting. Got CEO, got high-level stuff to do. Doesn't have time to go to the mailroom and sort mail. Doesn't have time. Got to delegate those duties to people who are good at it. And a good leader accepts the fact that the people that they are working with, there are some people that actually have better talents in certain areas than they do. That's what good leaders do. So that's why the pack mentality always works better than the herd mentality in a lot of cases when it comes to defense. It makes the unit strong when you have a pack mentality. Because everybody knows what their duty is, they're left alone to do their duty, and because they're left alone and they're trusted to do their duty, they do it to the best of their ability above and beyond what is required, because they feel good and comfortable in their position. They get that support. So I hope that kind of helps you guys figure it out. If you see some situations in some families where some people don't get along because you got one person want to be the boss and the other one want to be the boss and nothing's getting done when situations come up, that's why. Because either one or both of those people, they want everybody to play follow the leader instead of just looking at each individual person and see what they could possibly contribute that they may be lacking in so they can get the task done. They're looking more at their egos than they are at the task. And that's why a lot of things don't get done in family. That's why there's a lot of disagreements. It's not all about having your own way when you're a leader. It doesn't work that way. So I hope that kind of clarify things and, just kind of look around in your own family and decide, do you have a pack where everybody is valued individually for the most part? Or do you have a herd where you have that one person that everybody goes to all the time and you just sit there and you just take whatever they have to say no matter how right or wrong it is? I mean, some families it might be cool. It depends on how, it's set up. If everybody's happy with that, fine. To have that one person. As long as everyone's happy, that's the key. Because disagreements come up when you have people that are unhappy. I'm talking about those folks. If you're not happy with the family dynamic, it needs to change. Some communications need to be made. And be serious about it. Say, look, I value this unit, and I want to keep it strong. But we're going to have to do a better job as to what our duties are and how we're going to keep things going here. Because right now it's not working. It's not. And whether you are designated as the leader or not, if you're aware of it and nobody else is, you might have to be the one to speak up on it. And some people might take that well and some people may not. Oh well. But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there. I hope that kind of helps somebody. And I'm going to leave you guys to it. Peace.